Hi there. How's it going? Happy Friday. I was in a business retreat this week, virtual, of course. And so I'm coming to you live on Friday instead. Super excited to be here with you. I learned something in the retreat, and I just was so excited to share it with you that it's just like, I feel like it literally was like the simplest question, and it was like the highlight of my entire week. Obviously, because it's a business retreat, we were setting goals and, looking and mapping out our next 90 days. And then the coach that was leading it, she asked us this one question, and then suddenly everything came into focus. So I'm going to share that with you in a minute. But um, I also thought that this could be a great opportunity for me to tell you about how I got into coaching. So I'm just going to open it up because it's Friday and we're getting ready for the weekend. So if you come on, please say hi. Um, my name, if you haven't met me yet, is Stacy Mayer, and I am the founder of Stacy Mayer Coaching. I coach corporate managers to get promoted into upper level leadership positions. And, honestly, I never saw myself doing this work. I really felt like I wanted to be a coach, but I didn't know what type of coach I was going to be. And my first introduction to coaching was probably 2000, yikes, like 2003, 2004, something like that. And I was actually working at a hedge fund in Midtown Manhattan. And I was like really not all that excited about my job. I remember wanting more. Like, I got paid really well, but I just wasn't happy at my job. And so I would talk to my boss about getting me more responsibility. And I played this like stupid game of like going up to him and saying, "Hey, if anything opens up, please send it my way." And then he would say, "Sure, of course," because they really liked me and they wanted to give me more opportunities. But I wasn't being clear about what it was that I wanted and exactly how my strengths would fit into that and play into that. And I just remember having this like overall feeling of uncomfortableness with my job. And I met a friend of a friend who was a coach at the time, and she she had this conversation with me. She pulled me aside, and I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, really? Like, you can hire somebody to help you figure out all of your crap?" Like, I can pay you money and you'll help me be happier in my job. Like, you'll help me be more successful in my job. And so I decided to give it a shot. So I hired my first coach back in the day, and it was really extraordinary what ended up happening after that. So she taught me, first of all, how to really understand what it was that I wanted, the clarity of where you want to go. And then she showed me how to actually communicate that. So this is essentially the essence of my business, my core business that I have now, is teaching other people to do that. But the thing that I think stands out so much to me in this particular story and this particular situation and the conversation this week with my retreat that I went on is that we need people to help us stay accountable on the things, like the long goals that we have, the ones that are actually going to impact our lives, the things that are going to help us feel better in the long run. Is that it's so important to have that outside perspective to help us stay focused on that. Great example is that I help my clients get promoted into leadership positions. Well, what do they spend most of their day doing? Their job, their work, getting their work done. So this was essentially what I was doing back in the day at the hedge fund. Is I was doing a lot of work. I was getting all my work done and I was working really hard. So I didn't have the bandwidth to think about how I was going to go and have a conversation with my boss about having more responsibility and making a bigger impact at work. I didn't have time for that. And so then once I hired a coach, she helped me figure out that plan so that I could go and do that. I could go have those difficult conversations. And And I think that that's the question that I'm going to share with you today. This one question that you can ask yourself so that you can start to get closer to your career goals as well. So, first of all, I want you to think about like what is your 90-day plan? And if you're a corporate manager, the instinct is going to be like whatever's happening at work, all of the work that you need to get done. But I want you to like set all of that aside and ask yourself, what is your 90-day plan for your professional development? What is your career goals like right now? What do you want to achieve by September 1st in your professional life? So, first of all, get clear on that question, really understand, do a diagnosis, whatever it takes for you to figure out what is the single thing that you want to accomplish over the next 90 days. And here's the question that my coach proposed to us this week: what needs to go right in order to make that happen? So that's the brilliant question. I'm going to write it here in the comments because it's so important for you to think about it this way. What needs to go right in order to XYZ? Now, the reason why, well, so first of all, I just want you to ask yourself that question. So you've got your goal, just make up a goal, okay? So if it's like, I want to, if you want to get a promotion, great, go for it. If you want to get a promotion in the next 90 days. But I think a lot of people just want to have a better relationship with their boss, say, okay? So something as simple as like, it would be really nice if my boss actually asked me questions about myself and not just my task updates. So if that's your goal over the next 90 days, what would need to go right in order to make that happen? Well, the first thing that comes to mind for that is that you would need to actually have your boss proactively ask you about your own professional development, actually care about what it is that you want out of your career. Okay, so then say again, what would need to go right in order to have that happen? Well, I would need to be clear with him what it is that I want out of my career so that he knows to ask me. Okay, then what would need to go right in order to come up with that? And then now you're chunking it out into little segments that are actually really doable. And eventually it just comes down to clarity in what it is that you actually want out of your career. So, like, in essence, you have to get clear, schedule the appointment with your boss. Also, you have to figure out how to actually say that to him so that he can hear you. Okay. So, there's lots of steps along the way. But the other thing that I think is so key about this question, what needs to go right in order to hit my goal, is that it keeps you in the place of possibility. We spend so much time beating ourselves up for not actually achieving our goals. We spend a tremendous amount of time thinking about, like, oh, wouldn't that be nice if my boss actually cared about my professional development? Like, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be a great thing to have happen? Well, yeah, of course it would be a great thing to have happen. And so you're like, if you're not thinking of the question that I just proposed to you, the first place you might go to is, well, that'll never happen. Or, well, I'd have to get a new boss to make that happen. So you're not in the place of possibility. You're not actually thinking about how am I actually going to go about achieving this goal. But if you ask yourself, what would need to go right in order to get there? It keeps you in that place of possibility. So see, that's the other thing that coaching did for me, is that it showed me what was possible. It reminded me of why my professional development goals were not ego driven, that they were so important, because that is actually me doing my job better. Because if I'm grumpy every day, if I don't think I'm making the impact, if I think I'm just doing a ton of work but never getting rewarded, then I'm not going to be able to be as effective at my job as I would be if I felt like I was having regular conversations with my boss and he actually cared about my professional development and he was coming up with ideas and I was coming up with ideas and giving them to him. I would enjoy my job more and I would do a better job. So that is what coaching did for me. It showed me why my goals actually mattered, besides just giving me self-satisfaction, why it matters to the world as at large. So I hope this helps. I really, 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 really love this question. What would need to go right in order to get to that goal? So if you have a goal that you're working on over the 90 days, I encourage you, drop it in the comments. Let me know what that is. I always go back afterwards and read all of the comments and answer any questions that you might have. So please feel free to make this an open conversation. And really, I promise you, if you start taking your own professional development goals seriously, if you get yourself out of the day to day of just doing the work and reacting and staying in reactionary mode, not only will you be happier at your job, but you're going to actually impact and influence other people's lives. And I'm sorry to be morbid, but at the end of the day, when people are looking back at my life, I want them to say how I impacted and influenced their life more than remembering me for the number of hours that I put in. Thank you so much for watching. It's fantastic to see you. Have an amazing weekend, and I'll see you in June. Oh, God, time is flying. Bye.